So, ladies and gentlemen, Formula One is back, and it was back with an absolute bang. Yes, I'm wearing a Red Bull jacket. There will be no bias towards Red Bull, even though I don't really think you could be biased to them after that. Um, all I gotta say is, if it wasn't for the rain, that would have been a sleeper. We saw basically, I think it was at the stage when it was like lap 15 to lap like 25. Whenever Fernando crashed on lap 34. So from like lap 15, I think that's when Piastri got past Max. So basically when Piastri passed Max to that Alonso crash, that was a sleeper. Basically, you had every car running at least 2 seconds apart from each other. I know the McLarens were 14 seconds ahead of Max, and Max was then 7 seconds ahead of fourth place, which was George Russell. So it really was that crazy rain spit that we got for like 5 laps that made that race interesting at the end. And it was the rain that made it interesting in the beginning. But there was like that middle part of the race was super boring. Thank God it rained. Like seriously, that rained saved F1 from having a sleeper of a first race because McLaren is miles ahead of the field. And I think it's going to be that way for the first 10 races. It's going to pretty much be every race, the McLarens and Verstappen in the top 3 because the McLarens have the fastest car and Max is the best driver. If Max can keep getting to P2s and P3s and then the Red Bull car catches up to McLaren and then Max is able to start beating Norris and Piastri, I think you'll have a real championship on your hands. But at least I think for the first 10 races, it's going to be dominated by McLaren, particularly probably Lando Norris. I think Piastri is a very good driver and will win the world championship one day. I just don't think he quite has the experience to take it to Norris and Verstappen yet. But McLaren should win the Constructors pretty easily, I would say. So, with that being said, we're here to talk about the Australian Grand Prix. And let's go through the finishing order real quick. Sorry, I don't know off the top of my head, so I wrote it down. We have Norris, Verstappen, Russell, Antonelli, Albon, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Leclerc, Piastri, Hamilton, Gasly, Sonoda, Ocon, Behrman, Larson, Bortoleto, Alonso, Doohan, and Hadjar. So let's just break down the top 5 real quick. So P1 was Norris, P2 was Verstappen, P3 Russell, P4 Antonelli, and 5th Alex Albon for a Williams. That was an incredible drive from Albon. Williams have so much pace. It's really great to see Williams back, and they're not like back winning races. I think they're top of the midfield, but that's really great to show what they are able to do for next year, and I'm super excited to see what they'll do next year. I think this year is just going to be cool to see them fight, and I think they're probably locked in for 5th if it stays the way it is right now. Kimi Antonelli. Holy cow, dude. P16 to P4 on your debut. I was super impressed with Kimi Antonelli. I had some doubts about him, but I do think he's the real deal. That drive, I think, proved it. He is the real deal. Russell did his job. Russell got the best result you could have asked. It was a really good race. Verstappen didn't make a mistake all day, kept it clean, got P2. It would have been P3 if Piastri didn't have his moment. Norris ran flawlessly, didn't make a mistake, didn't put a foot wrong, well-deserved win, right driver won. So let's break down all the shenanigans with the crashes, and we'll go from the first crash to the last crash. So let's start with Isaac Hadjar, unfortunately crashing under the safety car. Man, that my heart went out to you, man. That really was tough to see. I really do feel bad for you. He was just trying to warm up his tires, and he just got too aggressive, and he just slid right off the track into the wall. It's really hard to see on your F1 debut. You put so much time and effort into getting to F1, and then you're finally racing, and you just do that. And it really does suck because Hadjar hadn't put a foot wrong all weekend long. He qualified P11 and was super impressive. And honestly, you could make an argument after qualifying he was the most impressive rookie of the weekend so far. But obviously with that, you can't put him as the most impressive rookie, and he was just having such a good, clean weekend, and it just really sucked to see. And the same can be said about Jack Doohan. He crashed out on the first lap. He was having such a clean, impressive first weekend, and he needed a good result. We know the pressure with Franco Colapinto is there. Like, that's what Alpine probably wanted to see Jack Doohan do. They wanted to see him fail. We all know they probably want Franco Colapinto in that car. And he just needed a good race. And in qualifying, he really impressed me. Really unfortunate to only qualify 14th. If it wasn't for Hamilton's spin, he probably would have been higher up on the list. It's just Really, really, really unfortunate to see that happen to Jack. I think he upshifted or downshifted when he hit a painted line, and it just sent him flying off into the wall in the first lap. It was super sad to see. And then we had Carlos Sainz. I think I didn't write Carlos Sainz down when I read the order. My fault. I completely forgot about Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz was P18, and he crashed under the safety car when Jack Doohan crashed. I don't really know what happened. He just kind of hit the gas and he spun off into the wall. Super unfortunate for his Williams debut because we all saw his teammate get 5th. I'm willing to say he would have at least been 6th or 7th if he finished the race, if not higher. So super sad to see that happen to Carlos Sainz. And then we had Fernando Alonso, who kind of had a moment that Piastri did like 2 laps before, got onto the gravel, and instead of saving like Piastri, he just flat out spun and crashed into the wall. And he really brought shenanigans into the race. And thank you, Fernando, because you saved us from probably what would have been, I would say, a stinker of a finish. I don't know if the rain would have contributed all that much to an exciting finish when the cars were that far spread out. So overall, it was, probably a good thing Fernando crashed. Not for him. Glad he was okay, but it was a good thing for the race. It definitely made the race a lot more interesting. Bortoleto is next. So unfortunately, Bortoleto crashed when the shenanigans happened. On the video, it kind of looks like his brake line exploded, but I don't think he did. I think he just flat out lost it and crashed, but Bortoleto was having a super impressive weekend until that, and still had a super impressive weekend. It was really, really tricky conditions, probably because he was on the slicks too. He wasn't even on wet tires, which was dumb. Same thing happened to Larson. I know Larson was on the slicks and not the wets, and he just lost it the same way Hadjar lost it. It was a shame to see. He really drove such a horrible, horrible weekend. I about said good weekend, but no, he drove a horrible weekend. And, he's really one of my favorite drivers, and it just really sucked to see because I wanted more out of him. But, it's just one weekend. It's truly to judge yet. It's truly to judge on any of these guys, but just that sucked to see. And let's talk about Piastri's moment. He drove a great 56 and really 7/8 of a lap. Just had that one moment that ruined his race, and he went from 2nd to 14th on that moment. And then he was able to recover to 9th. So really tough for Piastri. My heart went out to him. Now I'm going to do something. Every time I talk about F1, I'm going to rank the rookies 1 through 6. Because after watching Liam Larson, he's definitely a rookie. So the 6th place, the least impressive rookie. I think it's definitely between 2. Do I go Behrman or do I go Larson here? And I know Larson's in a much faster car, but he also didn't crash twice and only had like 5 laps in practice. So I think P6, but he also made it through the race. This is tough. I think this is probably a little biasy, but I think I'm going to say 6th place is Oliver Behrman. He crashed twice. He couldn't qualify. That wasn't his fault. And he just did nothing in the race, but he did finish the race, which maybe he should be a little higher because he finished the race. I don't know. But 6th, I'll go Behrman. 5th is Larson. Knocked out in Q1. Crashed in the race. Really showed no pace all weekend. Super disappointing. Super, 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 super disappointing. And honestly, the next 4 all showed really good potential. Those 2 are the only 2 that I thought really, really struggled. But if I had to say 4th, just because he crashed on the opening lap and qualified 14th, although it could have been higher, wasn't for the Hamilton spin, I have to put Doohan in 4th, although he had potential to be much higher. And I was honestly impressed with all of them but Larson and Behrman, to be honest. Even though Doohan crashed on the first lap, his pace throughout the weekend was really good. 3rd, I will not have to give it to Hadjar, although he probably would have been in the running for 1st if he would have had a good weekend, a good race. But his qualifying was great, P11. He was fast in practice. Just unfortunately lost it on the safety car, as I already said. 2nd, I'm going to have to say it is probably, definitely Bortoletto's 2nd. Got into Q2, out-qualified Hulkenberg, was having a good race until he crashed. Super impressive in Bortoletto, star of the future. And number 1 has to be Kimi Antonelli, hands down. He showed pace in practice, and then he went out and qualified 16th, which was super disappointing, and then he raced up to 4th. Wow, I think Kimi Antonelli is actually the real deal. I had questions about him, but I don't anymore. He is the real deal. Although, let's be real, he would not have been able to get in 4th if it wasn't for the rain. Kimi Antonelli did have a huge moment where he spun out and slid off the track in the first 10 laps of the race. Super lucky to get it back. He could have easily ended his race there. He didn't. He got lucky. He got lucky when when they were on slicks and it started raining again. He just got the right pit stop, didn't make a mistake. If that didn't happen, it probably would have been a P8 or P9. Still drove a phenomenal race, and he definitely deserves top rookie honors this weekend. That's really all I have to say about F1 being back. Super excited for it to be back. Next weekend, we have IndyCar at Thermal, and we have F1 at China. I'll definitely be covering IndyCar because my main focus on this channel is IndyCar. If the China race is something crazy how it was here in Australia, then I will review it. But if it's nothing crazy, it's just a boring race, then I guess I won't review it. But stay tuned for next weekend's video on IndyCar at Thermal, and see ya.